You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Hey, it's Ian Ballinger from the Freestater here on the Lanterns Radio Network. Now, most people listen to the show when it goes up every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, or even on your iPhone podcast app. But you can also listen to the show over at lanterns.buzz. That's lanterns.buzz, where the show plays on replay every weekday and weekend at 11 a.m. Central Time. Every day throughout the week, you can listen to the replay of the show on the lanterns.buzz radio stream. Aha! 11 a.m. Central Time and 3 a.m. in the morning. Just fantastic times. If you're driving out late, you can listen to the show. And if you're waking up in the morning, driving to work, going to lunch during work, whatever, show's available for you to listen to right there on replay. That's lanterns.buzz. And while you're over there, I encourage you to check out some of the other great shows that the Lanterns Radio Network has to offer. You've got Bells of Liberty, Todd Huff Radio, Battle for Freedom, Patriot Politics, Defenders of American Exceptionalism, The HollowNet, Fires of Liberty, Battlefield Live, The Conservative Syndicate, and many other special programs. You may have heard back during CPAC even, they did a huge live stream, continuous coverage of CPAC. Go to lanterns.buzz for great content. We're here to fix the machine. Lanterns.buzz. The world's gone mad. This is the Freestater. True conservatism, constitutionalism, may be in the minority now when it comes to the dialogue on political affiliation, but that doesn't mean we stop fighting. We fight for principles over party, values over politicians, and truth over feelings. You've entered a state of freedom. This is the Freestater. Welcome to it. This is the Freestater on the Lanterns Radio Network. I'm Ian Ballinger here from the plains of Kansas. This from the DailyWire.com article by Joseph Curl. The streets in Washington, D.C. were abuzz with excitement in the hours before former FBI Director James Comey walked into the Senate Intelligence Committee's hearing room at 10 a.m. on Thursday. Even though it was way too early for a drink, and a school day to boot. Young politicos across the city lined up to pack into trendy night spots to knock back a few and enjoy the Jim Comey show. It turned real fast. Every seat was taken at the Union Pub in D.C., Reuters reported, but the fun fest petered out quickly. Quote, the pub had promised to buy patrons a round of drinks every time Trump, a prolific Twitter user, tweeted during Comey's testimony, but drinkers were out of luck. The president did not launch a single public retort during the hearing, Reuters said. Sadness ensued, and memes were born. But then it got worse. The hearing revealed that, 1, Trump is not now, nor has ever been, under investigation by the FBI. 2, President Obama's Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, told Comey not to call the probe into Hillary Clinton's endless scandals and investigation, but rather a, quote-unquote, matter. And 3, Comey himself leaked his own diary, his memo about meetings with Trump, giving them to a friend to pass on to the media. And according to the writer of this article, Joseph Curl, that'll put a turd in your AM ale. Pictures of the party didn't look so festive. In the article, you can see pictures of, watch party goers. Normally, people have watch parties for football games, the NBA Finals, the March Madness tournament. But in D.C., your politico-millennial leftists like to gather in bars to watch the president crash and burn. Continuing in his article, pursuing all the snapshots that come up on a Google search, there were a lot of crossed arms and a lot of this. Hands, faces and hands, looking up in the screen, distraught. Some people just turn to their phones and search for something actually interesting. Like a baseball game, when the visiting team jacks up an 8-run lead, we're guessing the bars started to empty out early, even with much more to go in the Comey show. That article, again, from thedailywire.com by Mr. Joseph Curl. I encourage you to go to thedailywire.com and check out his articles. He's fantastically funny. Yeah, it's displayed by that article there. So here's the thing. You don't have to like Trump. I don't really like a lot of what he is or does either. And I'm a conservative. But does it not bother anyone else that there are watch parties full of people hoping that their president screwed up? Does that not say that the left doesn't care about the country's well-being and just wants to win? I'll even say the same for people who wanted to see Obama fail, for people who are on the right end of the spectrum. But at the same time, I don't think I can in good conscience say they wanted him to fail, they just disagreed with his policies. I don't remember watch parties. I don't remember watch parties where we were rooting for Obama to fail. Yeah, you had that fringe group, but this isn't fringe. This is mainstream media encouraging this kind of behavior. Of course, they have a right to do it. I'm not against that. And here's the thing, right? There's a difference between wanting to see certain policies fail and the elected leader of your country go down in flames because he doesn't meet your diversity demands. So Trump is a wreck. Trump is a wreck. I don't want him to be, but he is. Obama was and is a wreck, but we don't want him to be. I want a president of the United States that is a strict constitutionalist. So strict, in fact, that it annoys even the Republicans, because even they can't get anything done. That's how strict a constitutionalist we should be looking for. Could Ted Cruz have been that guy? I mean, maybe. Seemed that way, and the man was an undeniable constitutional and debating genius. Notice how Bernie Sanders never agreed to a rematch debate. Us versus them. Us versus them. That's how it's always been, and that's how it is now. And maybe with the next generation, we can get out of that mindset and start following constitutional principles. Oh, I know you're all so tired of hearing about principles. Maybe it's because the conservative movement isn't concerned with constitutional principles right now, that it is such a concern for me that we're moving away from that. Maybe not, though. I mean, conservatives, not all, but a lot, are being more punk rock in their approach. And part of me says that is so badass. That's so awesome. I think it was Gavin McInnes over at Rebel Media in Canada that said conservatism is the new punk rock. Something along those lines. And there's truth in that. I agree with that. It's cool to be conservative now. or the media wouldn't have you believe it, but that's exactly why it's cool, because it's counterculture. The generation after millennials, I don't know what they're called, I think they're called Generation Z, I could be wrong, but the one growing up right now is said to be the most conservative-minded generation in recent memory. Not Republican, not party-affiliated, conservative. That's a huge victory for principles. Now the question is, do these countercultural kids who have found themselves, to be honest, at a very critical moment in American history? We hear that all the time, right? It's always a pivotal moment in American history. But the question is, do the countercultural kids that we're talking about here, are they aligning themselves with conservatism? Do they actually believe it? Or is it just the cool thing right now? Is it just the in thing? Is it just the punk thing right now? Will the next generation after this one be an even more radicalized social justice warrior, leftism-minded group? Will we just go through cycles? Will we just go through cycles where one generation is conservative, one's leftist, one's conservative, one's leftist? Or will we finally learn from our mistakes, stop compromising on principle, and raise our kids and our future kids up to be bold questioners of the status quo? To be literate in the Constitution, to be literate in the Bible and the many other textual works that our founders and the many other small government-minded thinkers that have existed throughout history? Or are we going to be like the boomers? Go get high around a campfire and allow our kids to be indoctrinated by cultural Marxism? As for me and my house, we shall be the former. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Oh yeah, it's a difficult road. And the mainstream media, you know and I know, are not going to make it any easier on us. As we saw during the election cycle, and after they care more about their multicultural diversity quotas more so than they do about the American people, seemingly. They want to see their president fail for ratings or to rub your face in it, or for Lord knows why. I don't really know. It's insanity. It's insanity. They care more about the narrative than they do about the safety of the American people. It's why you see them making excuses for Islam after every single attack. After every single attack, I see more headlines, I see more news banners on the TV that talk about how we need to be more understanding of Islam than I do about the actual attack. That might be playing on a little, but at the same time, there's so many, it's shoved down our throats. If you even question it, you're a bigot. But then on our side, we need to be better at being principled-minded, and not only victory-minded. Ask ourselves if we're willing to die on a hill with our beliefs rather than abandon those beliefs in exchange for survival. Are you willing to put your life on the line for what you believe in? To bring Gavin McGinnis up again, that's easier said than done. I'm not even gonna pretend it's not easier said than done. Especially for the older conservatives. I mean, think about the position they're put into when they have to face people like Antifa. First of all, so it's easier for a college conservative. I'm not saying it's okay. Let me gather my words here, right? Easier for a college conservative to be able to jump into the middle of an Antifa circle and start standing up for their beliefs. Because they don't have a wife usually. They don't have kids, usually. But then you got the 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 30-year-olds, heck. Wife at home, kids at home, who don't want to be put in that position. Antifa's a violent group. But that's the position we find ourselves in America, is that so many Americans, even the right-leaning ones, are more worried about survival than they are freedom. Or willing to compromise on some freedoms for the sake of survival. And I'm not saying that makes you a bad person. I'm not saying that doesn't make you not a conservative or whatever. But I think the difference between conservatives, a lot of conservatives, and a lot of leftists is a lot of them are willing to jump into the middle there. A lot of them are willing to take a hit. But at the same time, see, you can't speak in generalizations here, because there's a lot of... Look, here's the thing, right? Antifa are kind of wusses. Covering your face and then hitting someone with a U-bar, you're a wuss. You're not a man. Face them. You're a wimp. You're a woman. You can't face somebody who you're attacking. And then there are some reports where Antifa will have color-coded sections where they'll put different people on the Antifa side during these protests and riots and all for different tasks to do. So, like, for example, occasionally they will use women as human shields because they know that right-wing people aren't akin to hitting women. So no one said being conservative was winning. No one said living the principles of conservatism was easy. And you know what? It's not easy. It's not even easy for me to talk about this, because I'm not trying to come across as this condescending guy telling the old folks to get up, start pulling your weight. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm calling for what I've been calling for since the beginning, a return to principles. And I think we're getting there. You're seeing the rise of people like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, who specifically talk on principle. Liberty or death, come and take it. All lives matter, Christ is king, 2 genders only, not all cultures are equal, pride in your country is a good thing, pride in your home state is a good thing, come and take it, come and take it, come and take it, liberty or death, liberty or death, liberty or death, give me liberty. And with that, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Hey, it's Ian Ballinger from the Freestater here on the Lanterns Radio Network. Now, most people listen to the show when it goes up every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, or even on your iPhone podcast app. But you can also listen to the show over at lanterns.buzz. That's lanterns.buzz, where the show plays on replay every weekday and weekend at 11 a.m. Central Time. Every day throughout the week, you can listen to the replay of the show on the lanterns.buzz radio stream. Aha! 11 a.m. Central Time and 3 a.m. in the morning. Just fantastic times. If you're driving out late, you can listen to the show. And if you're waking up in the morning, driving to work, going to lunch during work, whatever, show's available for you to listen to right there on replay. That's lanterns.buzz. And while you're over there, I encourage you to check out some of the other great shows that the Lanterns Radio Network has to offer. You've got Bells of Liberty, Todd Huff Radio, Battle for Freedom, Patriot Politics, Defenders of American Exceptionalism, The HollowNet, Fires of Liberty, Battlefield Live, The Conservative Syndicate, and many other special programs. You may have heard back during CPAC even, they did a huge live stream, continuous coverage of CPAC. Go to lanterns.buzz for great content. We're here to fix the machine. Lanterns.buzz. So here's a story that's been going on for the better part of the last 2-3 weeks. It's the Evergreen State College story. And if this doesn't disturb you in terms of the social justice warrior activism that we see happening on college campuses to this very day, there's not much further they can go without actually killing the opposition. This from The Blaze, 2 articles. Students at a Washington State College, Evergreen State College, are calling for a professor to be fired after he objected to an event that would have kicked white students and faculty off campus for a day. The day of absence. I'm quoting for a minute from the article. The day of absence. To my knowledge, Evergreen State College isn't the only institute of higher education that engages in this kind of little play where white students or white-skinned faculty will be asked to leave the campus for a day, seemingly so for a reparations type thing. I don't really understand why. Well, at Evergreen, they used to do a day of absence event where black and Latino students would leave campus voluntarily by their own free will so they could demonstrate the significant role they play at the college. While I still think that is stupid, because we live in a time in American history, we live in a time in world history where people on the right and people in the center are trying to say, I don't see color. You are the same as me. I see you as the same. And the left wants to say, no, that is not true. We are not the same. Anyway, so this year, students wanted to reverse the format. Quoting back from the Blaze article, this article on theblaze.com is by Trey Goins-Phillips. It was published all the way back May 26th of this year. This has been going on for the better half of the last 3 weeks, but we'll continue. This year, students wanted to reverse the format. Rather than minorities leaving the campus, unquote, by their own free will, many wanted to see all the white students and professors, all the white-skinned students and professors, vacate the college in order to create a safe space for those who remained. So I guess that's the whole point of the day of absence you see going on at high schools and institutes of higher education across the country. White people leave for a day, so people of color, black people, Latino people, can feel safe in their own little safe space utopia for a day, because you, as a white person, are just so dangerous to them. So Brett Weinstein, the biology professor, he describes himself as an intellectual progressive. I think in one interview he did with, did he do it with Joe Rogan, I think, too? He said he was a Bernie Sanders voter. So this is not a conservative. This is not a right-wing-minded individual. He wasn't really on board with forcing students to leave campus because of the color of their skin. Well, speaking of reaching across the aisle to people we disagree with, there's something we can agree with. There's something we can agree with, Mr. Weinstein, intellectual progressive as you describe yourself. Forget skin color. I don't see you any different because of your skin color, and I would hope you don't see me any different because of my skin color. But as we see on the modern-day college campus, that is just not the case. Race relations have never been better. But the left doesn't want it to be better. They want that division. It boggles my mind. You know, you're called a racist now by SJWs on college campuses, by cultural Marxists on college campuses, if you say that you don't see color. Well, what do you want me to do? You want me to say that I do see you differently? I don't. I see you as a fellow human being. Where are we in society? What is happening? So anyway, this from Brett Weinstein in an email he wrote. There's a huge difference between a group or coalition deciding voluntarily to absent themselves from a shared space in order to highlight their vital and underappreciated roles, and a group or coalition encouraging another group to go away. The first is a call to consciousness, which is, of course, crippling to the logic of oppression. The second is a show of force and an act of oppression in of itself. I would encourage others to put phenotype aside and reject this new formulation. On a college campus, one's right to speak or to be must never be based on skin color. He described himself as a progressive. He describes himself as a Bernie Sanders voter. And he's the sane one coming out of this college. And I have the utmost respect for him because of what he said in that email. I am so sick. There is no reason at all there should be a race problem in America right now. The right sure as heck isn't pushing it. No reason there should be a race problem in America right now. The Democrats are pushing it. The left are pushing it. The cultural Marxists are pushing it. Antifa is pushing it. And the social justice movement is pushing it. For the sake of political gain. And it's putting people's lives in danger. After Weinstein sent the email, he was met with a mob of unruly, screaming students who hurled insults and vulgar language towards the biology professor for objecting to an event that would have barred people from being on campus because of the color of their skin. The professor calmly told the mob of students, and we'll play the video in a second, it was a mob of students. They surrounded. I would feel scared for my life. So he said to the mob of students, there's a difference between debate and dialectic. Debate means you're trying to win. Dialectic means you're using disagreement to discover what is true. What this professor, who may not be in the know, or as Pohl calls it, who may not be red-pilled, maybe out of the loop here. They're not interested in truth. They're interested in their truth. He went on and he said, I'm not interested in debate. I'm only interested in dialectic, which does mean I listen to you and you listen to me. But the students, unsurprisingly, I think, were unappeasable. One told Professor Weinstein, we don't care what terms you want to speak on. This isn't about you. We're not speaking on terms of white privilege. This is not a discussion. You've lost that one. So shortly after that confrontation, one student asked Professor Weinstein if he believes black students in the sciences are targeted. The professor said he doesn't believe any professor intentionally targets any minority students, a response that sparked a slew of angry comments. Weinstein said that if he and the students could have a peaceful discussion, they could be successful in steering the college in the right direction of their values. Did that only serve to further enrage the students, leading one to call on Weinstein to resign? I'm not resigning, is what the professor said. But how do you think they responded? They began chanting, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Brett Weinstein has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Brett Weinstein has got to go." Hey, why is it always hey, hey, ho, ho? Why is it always hey, hey, ho, ho? They're so good at organizing. It's really weird, but their chants suck. You know, you don't see right-wing students on campus calling for the resignation of professors that they disagree with. You know how many professors I've disagreed with? I listen. I try to learn and see what the other side has to say, instead of forming a mob and standing outside their door and surrounding them, threatening them, telling them to resign. This professor had to hold his class session away from the campus due to safety concerns. "It's not safe for me to be on campus," he said. The chief of police, he told that to the chief of police. The chief of police told him that. He's taught at this college for 15 years. And this is how the students treat him. To the point that the chief of police for the Olympia, Washington Police Department has to tell him, "It's not safe for you to be on campus. If you're going to hold classes, you have to do it away from campus because your life is not secure here." That is unacceptable. I probably disagree with 99.9% of what this guy has to say as a Bernie Sanders voter. But oh my gosh, he has a right to teach. He has a right to be a professor. It's maddening. So that was on May 26th. This, on June 7th, just 2 days ago, leftist student group at Evergreen begins community policing with baseball bats. From The Blaze by Brandon Morse, leftist students at Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington have formed a vigilante group whose purpose is to, quote, community police the campus. While the specific reason for the formation of the bat-wielding group is not known, speculation is that the group was formed in response to the campus closing on Monday due to, quote, an external threat. This would be the second time the campus had closed in 4 days due to threats. The first threat closed the campus for 2 days after someone phoned the college saying he was going to shoot communist scumbags. Probably some troll from Pole B, whatever. Terrible. Doesn't help. But now you have a leftist student group. You have leftist students threatening right-wing students. On Monday, Vice President for Student Affairs Wendy Endress sent out a memo to colleagues, which included a memo sent out on Sunday by Sharon Goodman, Director of Evergreen's Residential and Dining Services. In the email, obtained by College Fix, Goodman asked for the student group to lay down arms, as it was making other students on campus feel intimidated and unsafe. From the memo, Dear RAD students, we are aware of a small group of students coordinating a community patrol of housing on campus. We acknowledge and understand the fear and concerns that are motivating these actions. We also understand that these students are seeking to provide an alternative source of safety from external entities as well as those community members who they distrust. Wow, that enrages me. Let's continue. Community patrols can be a useful tool for people feeling unsafe. However, the use of bats or similar instruments is not productive. Some members of this group have been observed carrying batons and/or bats. Carrying bats is causing many to feel unsafe and intimidated. The bats must be put away immediately in order to protect all non-students participating in this activity are advised to leave campus. You know what? You know what a better response would be? You're all expelled. Threatening other students with weapons, you're all expelled. Get off our campus. Has the bar been set so low for institutes of higher education that we just let anyone in? If you're threatening another student because of their beliefs, you've got no place on the campus of an institute of higher learning. Let's continue. College Fix reports that Goodman's memo offered students workshops with trained restorative justice facilitators to help finish out their final week of school. Also within the email, Andrus encouraged colleagues to counsel students to embrace choices that de-escalate tensions on campus. She also mentioned a professor who said one of his students feared for their safety. According to the professor, the student said, "Because I had shown criticism to the protest that was occurring on campus in earlier weeks, I have been targeted and harassed by a wide number of students on campus. Recently, there have been a number of students who patrol lower campus with weapons, like baseball bats and tasers, who claim to be making campus safer, but in reality, they're making campus more hostile. Leftism, cultural Marxism, social justice warriorism. You created this monster, colleges. The climate of the Evergreen campus has been dangerously hostile. Brett Weinstein has faced backlash from students. We already talked about that. He posted a picture of the bat-wielding students on his Twitter page, claiming that some students have already been hit, but they won't report it. He said on his Twitter, credible reports protesters with bats roaming campus for 2 days. People hit, won't report. Looks like a bunch of thugs. There's a picture if you want to look at it. It's on theblaze.com. One student has already been assaulted by an Evergreen mob, a freshman at Evergreen named Nolan, whose last name was not given, protested the treatment given to Weinstein by writing apolitical references to the band Limp Bizkit in chalk around campus. The video shows Nolan having water poured on him and his glasses being ripped away and thrown off by students. In a second video, Nolan and his friends are accosted by a group of students, one of which is carrying a bat. Here's the video. So in this video you see chalk of Pepe the Frog saying, "Sounds good, man," and such, and just trying to counter-protest the people threatening anyone who disagrees with them.
This is public campus.
No permission to film. That is illegal.
Smile.
That is totally illegal.
It's not, actually. You're on a public university campus threatening someone. They have every right to film you, but I wouldn't expect radical leftists to actually know. But whatever.
It's illegal to assault people.
Represent.
So they're trying to get away from the students that are assaulting them here, and they won't stop. So there you go. The students in the second video appear to be the students seen in Weinstein's tweeted photo. A, quote, coalition of students of color gave Evergreen College President George Bridges a list of demands on May 27th. One of these demands is that all weapons possessed by campus police be sold and for a student collective to develop and implement an alternative to campus policing. I even saw that video. They demanded that the police be disarmed on campus so the protesters could, quote unquote, feel safe. So when children just acting like children.
Okay, I do not believe that students of color are targeted in the sciences here.
Why?
But maybe I misunderstand what you mean by targeted. Oh my God.
Get the fuck out.
So wait a second. To me, targeted means something different than what I just heard you define it. Sit well with me. As I said in my letter to the person who had announced this, Rashida, who I should say is staff, and she has ended up at the center of this controversy, I think wrongly, just because my letter in response is addressed to her, and then it was made public by our school paper, so her name has been dragged front and center. But in any case, my letter, I said that there was all the difference in the world between a population deciding to absent themselves from a shared space in order to highlight their role, and a population deciding to absent another population from a shared space, which I find unacceptable as a person, as somebody devoted to the gains of the civil rights movement. I should also probably say as a Jew, when people start telling me where I can and cannot be, it rings alarm bells.
And it should. But let's make no mistake, this is the monster that the college campus has created.
And we want to have dialogue. We want the dialogue to extend beyond tonight.
So this is an administrator talking to the protesters.
But if you refuse to leave, then you will be charged with a student code of conduct violation. And I'm telling you this now because I want you to have good thought and careful consideration. If you're here at 5 a.m., we will clear the building and you will be arrested. And we will give you the opportunity to go to jail for your beliefs. Yes, sir.
What do you mean by clear the building?
Our police officers will physically pick you up and take you to a paddy wagon and take you to be arrested. Now, if you're here at 5 o'clock, our current philosophy is we are going to take you out and escort you out of the building and arrest you. You will be discharged from school also. I'm fairly confident of that.
Finally. See, that's the one bit of sanity I'm finally seeing. You'll be discharged. I assume that means at least suspension. I would hope it would mean expelled.
I don't want you to be surprised. I want you to make good decisions. You're smart kids.
Discharged as in
Expelled.
Okay, there you go. Expelled. Finally, there's some sanity coming out of this Evergreen College incident, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. There's still tension. It's June 9th. This video was published June 3rd.
We're not going to scare anybody, so if there's somebody that we scared, then you give me an in, I'll go.
No, we don't do that. We simply tell you the truth, and then you live with your actions.
I don't see why that's such a hard concept. Well, it's a hard concept for leftists, though. For these cultural Marxist students. Live with your actions. Personal responsibility. But they've been told throughout their high school and their college experience that they are the victims. That they are the victims. And what does a victim need? A victim needs an enemy, an aggressor. So to delegitimize their enemy and aggressor, what do? They call them racist. And they belittle them. Nobody wants to be called a racist, and so nobody stands up against them.
No, but here's a goddamn thing you have to say.
I think what's smart is not to take.
And mostly all the grannies too.
And if you can hear in the background, their protesting crowd is snapping because clapping has now been called a triggering action. We'll be right back for the last segment.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Hey, it's Ian Ballinger from the Freestater here on the Lanterns Radio Network. Now, most people listen to the show when it goes up every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, or even on your iPhone podcast app. But you can also listen to the show over at lanterns.buzz. That's lanterns.buzz, where the show plays on replay every weekday and weekend at 11 a.m. Central Time. Every day throughout the week, you can listen to the replay of the show on the lanterns.buzz radio stream. Aha! 11 a.m. Central Time and 3 a.m. in the morning. Just fantastic times. If you're driving out late, you can listen to the show. And if you're waking up in the morning, driving to work, going to lunch during work, whatever, show's available for you to listen to right there on replay. That's lanterns.buzz. And while you're over there, I encourage you to check out some of the other great shows that the Lanterns Radio Network has to offer. You've got Bells of Liberty, Todd Huff Radio, Battle for Freedom, Patriot Politics, Defenders of American Exceptionalism, The HollowNet, Fires of Liberty, Battlefield Live, The Conservative Syndicate, and many other special programs. You may have heard back during CPAC even, they did a huge live stream, continuous coverage of CPAC. Go to lanterns.buzz for great content. We're here to fix the machine. Lanterns.buzz. Hey everyone, we do not have sponsors. And by we, I mean me. I don't have any sponsors. So I want to take this time to tell you about some projects that are always at the top of my list and in the back of my mind. They're fantastic projects. The NazareneFund.org. For several years, ISIS has invaded peaceful communities in the Middle East and painted the Nazarene symbol on the door of people they seek to convert, extort, or murder. While ISIS uses the Nazarene symbol to symbolize death, we use it to symbolize life. Mercury One is a U.S.-based humanitarian aid and education nonprofit organization that established and administers the Nazarene Fund. The Nazarene Fund aids in the restoration of Christians and other persecuted religious minorities in their communities who have been targeted by ISIS for their faith. I want to make it clear, I am not endorsed by Mercury One. They have not paid me to say any of this, and I'm not directly affiliated with them in any way. Be that as it may, I think that what they're doing is extremely important, and I want to share it with you. So rather than push a sponsor for you right now, in large part because I don't have one, I want to share their mission with you and direct you to where you can go to help. Now, in 2014, the Christian community in Syria and Iraq were facing the greatest calamity in its 2,000-year history. The Islamic State, ISIS, exploded out of Raqqa, Syria, the capital of its self-proclaimed Islamic State. In a lightning strike that surprised the world, ISIS forces captured Mosul, Iraq's second-largest city, and all of nearby Nineveh plain, the traditional homeland of the region's Christian community. What followed was a campaign of extortion, murder, and displacement not only of the Christians, but of other ethno-religious minorities in the region. By 2015, a population of 3 million people was reduced to only 300,000. Most of them displaced from their homes and fleeing to other countries. In August of that year, Glenn Beck took the stage, and the Restoring Unity rally in Birmingham, Alabama, declared the situation for it was genocide. Mercury One donors immediately responded, and the Nazarene Fund was launched with the goal of rescuing 400 families. No one at the time that realized that a movement was born, and over the course of the next 18 months, Mercury One has far exceeded its original goal, and the numbers speak for themselves. 1,290 families rescued, 5,202 people saved. Fortunately, the tactical situation is changing. Coalition forces have liberated most of Nineveh. Mosul will soon be under Allied control. An attack on Raqqa is imminent, and Mercury One is shifting its focus from rescuing to rebuilding and restoring the lives and communities of these persecuted people. We're so happy to shift this focus from providing immediate basic care for individuals to rebuilding and restoring communities by funding projects that will have a future impact on health and education for years to come. Mercury One funded projects include a medical clinic in Lebanon, a medical clinic in Greece, school in Beirut, Lebanon, a school in Athens, Greece, a mobile trauma center in Acre, Iraq, a trauma center in Al-Qash, Iraq, a community center in Nitra, Slovakia, and a transport van in Brazil. As their mission continues to evolve both internationally and at home, please continue to support all of Mercury One's efforts by donating now. To donate, go to mercuryone.org or thenazarenefund.org. It's a great cause. They need your help. If you're able to donate, I encourage you to donate. I encourage you to go, again, thenazarenefund.org, and donate if you can. God bless. Laus Deo. I want to talk to you about the 912 Project. Now, this is something we've discussed on the show a lot. And I mean a lot, and it's something we're going to discuss on the show a lot more. At the origin of America, our founding fathers built this country on 28 powerful principles. These principles were culled from all over the world and from centuries of great thinkers. We've distilled the original 28 down to 9 basic principles. And if you believe in at least 7 of them, then we have something in common. They've also added 12 values that represent the qualities of those who founded our country. If we can all live by these, we believe America can get back on course again. Now, their advisory board consists of some amazing conservatives and amazing people. Yvonne Donnelly, Maria Acosta, Michael Pelka from The Blaze, Stephanie Scruggs, Mimi Steele, Aaron Wilson, Jason Roberts from NetFusion Studios. All these people promoting the 912 Project, and I encourage you, this valued listener that we have here on the Lanterns Radio Network, to go to the 912-project.com to find these principles and values on their webpage. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter. We're trying to start the 912 movement again.
Welcome, Kmart shoppers. Kmart has low discount prescription prices. Visit our pharmacist today and compare our prices to what you're presently paying elsewhere.
You'll be glad you did.
So that's all about the time we have for this week's program of The Free Stater. Thank you for listening. If you're a college student, please, I am begging you, stand against this nonsense, because that's what it is. It's utter nonsense. Have a great week, everyone.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.